Hello and welcome to Take This TV, the television book club podcast where each week we watch an episode or two of our favorite shows and we talk about them with our friends in the fandom. Hello. I'm Carmen and I'm joined as always by the amazing Kimberly Woods. Hello.
Hello, hot potatoes.
This season we are watching Three Body Problem.
And today we're on episode 6. The stars are destination. The description is, with the world in a state of panic following a momentous declaration, Wade gathers the world's greatest minds to prepare a defense plan. If you haven't seen up to episode 6, pause right now, go watch, come back, we'll be here waiting.
Yes. Spoilers ahead. Beware. You've been warned. What did you think about this episode, Kimberly?
Ooh, I was excited to learn more about Thomas Wade. Because before we were like, what is his deal? What is this company? What is this secret agency he's working for? And to find that, okay, he's like, has all these people working on these top secret things. And it seems like these stars are destination where you can like buy a star and fund progress is like his progress.
Yeah, so whatever military operation he's planning, they're trying to use this fundraising tool of buying a star to help fund their R&D. I thought it was interesting that I would keep wanting to call him Matt, but his name is Will, right? The friend.
Yeah, the one who has cancer.
Yes. So I felt like the whole time we've been talking about there are a lot of characters, and I'm like, what is Will gonna do? And so by the end of the episode, Will is like, I'd like to buy a star, and this heroic music is swelling or whatever. And for love. But I feel like they never gave me the impression of like, oh no, we need money. If only there was someone to fund us. Oh, humanity. So I was like, okay, I guess, but like, it doesn't seem like that Jen is strapped for cash. So like, how is she gonna know? Like, oh, Will, with his dying breath, gave me the money I needed, or whatever. So
I thought it was kind of sweet. Well, they had that scene where when she's pitching at Witchwood Manor or whatever to the other scientists, and she talks about her idea of putting these nuclear bombs in a line all the way to the Santi and propelling, the tech along to get it there to like spy on the Santi. At the end of it, somebody's like, yeah, but that's going to cost a lot of money. And she's like, well, we're the scientists. We bring the scientists. Somebody else's job is to get the money. And then we like cut to these commercials where they're like watching it at the gas station.
Yeah.
And so I feel like for some reason, I don't know how he in his heart though, it's like, oh, I'm funding my sweetheart's research because this is what she loves. And so I'm going to put my money into this thing she's doing.
It was sweet. Also, that person at the council meeting when because these are all the top scientists in the world, and Jen has this idea of like how to get, because Thomas Wade wants to send a probe to spy on the Santi, and so they're trying to send this probe out there. Jen has an idea, and the person's like, "It's gonna be expensive." I'm like, "Bro, what? Did you see the eyeball in the sky? Money is fake. Like we need to make this thing, or we're all your ancestors are gonna die. Like what planet are you living on?" I was like, somebody slap some sense into this woman. Like, what the heck? What are you talking about?
And some of them are like lulled into this false sense of like, well, we have 400 years. Like, what is it? Like, somebody will figure something out. It's probably not us, but like, it's gonna happen. So
yeah.
Okay, scientists.
I do love that moment though, because I feel like it's very realistic of like, no matter how high the stakes are, there's always going to be those kinds of people. And so I also love that like we have the moment where Thomas Wade is pitching them on like trying to figure out a way to reach light speed, and they're all like being really negative or whatever. And then he goes to Jen and it gives her the same pitch. And I love it because I think that like, especially in creative fields or in fields that like where you're kind of making something, there's always this like, the more experience people have, that can be a good thing, but there's also, that comes with a lot of baggage and a lot of weight sometimes of like people being stuck in their ways or not being able to like be open-minded about the new ways that you can do things. And so I thought that was a really interesting and cool detail. And I do think that like the idea of just like setting off all of these explosions in space and like propelling apparently manned probe into space is pretty wild. So,
It's
um,
really wild.
is that in the books?
I have not gotten there yet, I don't
Okay,
think. I feel like this is beyond where I am at this point.
cool. Well, I'm
Yeah,
excited to see if they actually do it or not.
yeah. I also love that Will is like also trying to get Augie to go help Jen. He's like, if I had, could help her in any way and had a brilliant mind, I wouldn't just be sitting here. Like, what are you doing? And now she's
Yeah,
gonna use her nano. She's gonna develop a nano sail to help this probe along to make sure it stays on course.
the like scenes where they were all at like Will's beach house, beach shack, whatever, beach property. I
Yeah.
think those are the best scenes with those characters because like I think that this show, like a lot of other shows, really, it's like they have these group of characters, and it's like, oh, this is a group of friends, or this is our core group of like protagonists or heroes or whatever. And it always feels like these people even like each other. Like, why why are they hanging out together? And so I think this was a great like episode where you got to see that like their relationship to one another. I do think it was weird that after everything that's happened, that like Augie and Saul are so like friendly. So I'm like, the last time that we saw them together, she was telling him that he was a man child and like left
Yeah.
him standing alone on the street. So I'm like, I guess they made up off screen somewhere.
Well, they were still. I mean, in this episode, he also steps up, like later on, because I do think it's funny when we first see them and they're sitting on the beach before like the little shack scenes, and Augie comes up and she like puts her arm around. She puts her arm around Will, and then she gives Saul this look. Like he says something, and she's like, what is happening?" And it pauses for a while on her expression that she gives him. But later, when he finally does something right, when she's like, she's reeling from this technology that she built, killing all these people on the ship. And she's been drinking a lot, and she wakes up and is like throwing up in the night. And Saul comes to her side and it's like helps her to the toilet and is rubbing her back. I'm like, okay, finally, Saul, you stepped up to the moment here.
Hopefully he can keep it up. We'll see.
Yeah.
I do love, like, I know last episode I was ragging on Augie a lot about like how she doesn't understand real life, but I do love that like we sort of see the effect on her of like her invention being used as a weapon to kill all these people, even though those people were part of this cult that was essentially trying to destroy or enslave humanity. I do like that we get to see that like she values human life, and it gives us a sense of her character. So I thought that was really cool. And then I laughed so hard over the Jen talking to Raj moment where they're in the car and she's like, "How could you not tell me?" And he's like, "What did you want me to say? I do all this dirty work so you can keep your hands clean." And then by the time they get out of the car, they're like hugging and making up, and then Will sees them hugging or whatever. And I was laughing because I was like, you get in the car and you're talking to your partner about like, I can't believe you committed mass murder. And by the time you drive out 20 minutes wherever you're going, you're like, oh, well, I guess it's not so bad that you killed all those people. Either she cares or she doesn't. Like, what? Which
Were they really making up? I mean, I feel like it's like, okay, we're just not going to talk about this anymore and like keep it under the. I don't know if it was really resolved. It didn't feel resolved to me.
No, I think you're right. It felt more like her kind of coming to the conclusion that their morals aren't the same, but like they were just kind of like tabling that conversation. But I just meant that like the way that it was framed, it just is. I don't know. I feel like that's because like there's a scene earlier where Jen is talking to Win Jay, and she's like storms out of the room and she's like, I can't believe you let Vera die, and it's like you gonna still stay in the house and sleep with this guy in the same bed with this guy, and like, he killed all these people or whatever. I don't know. I feel like if my partner committed mass murder, that I would get a hotel or something. I'd be pretty upset. So I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it wasn't just her partner; it was also her best friend. So it wasn't just one person. It was
true.
Also the guy she's working for.
Double whammy.
So she is in it Whether she likes it or not, this is the guy that she's working for, is the guy who ordered this to happen. Yeah. But he's giving her a chance to use science to try to hopefully save humanity, so, you know, she's got to deal with that if she wants to work with him. She's got to somehow compartmentalize that and
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do love all the different perspectives that we get on what's happening, because we hear
yeah.
about the folks who have essentially started to form these cults and like worship the Santi. We hear about other people who've tried to use it for their own agendas to gain power. And then we have, Thomas Wade and his efforts to try to like essentially start a war and try to wipe them out and learn about the enemy before they can face them. And then we have people like Jen and Augie, who are scientists, and they want to, of course, advance humanity and create new things, but they're not necessarily in the business of making weapons and death and all that, death dealers and all that kind of stuff.
And Saul, who we still don't know what he's going to be doing, but he
Saul's
was working with Vera, so we know he does some science stuff.
Yeah, he does some science.
I can't wait to see what it is.
But I love the moment where I think Jen's talking to Raj, but I'm not. Maybe it was Augie, and she's like, no, I think she's talking to Augie, and she essentially says that like I'm not making weapons, and the other person is like, how long do you think it's going to be before they turn into a weapon or something like that?
Oh yeah,
so, yeah, I think she was talking to Augie about that. But I thought that was really interesting because it's like it gives us insight into like. I mean, I feel like any time that there's war, and there's been wars in human history, it's like there are folks
Oppenheimer.
Yep. Yeah, and it's like there are people who are sort of like pushed to do these things that they may not necessarily agree with or morally be on board with, but like when those things happen and there are those big moments like that, it can always advance technology, sometimes for the good and sometimes for the worse. But I'm interested to see like what happens and what kind of effect that's going to have on the characters in the world.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting in this episode, too, that we find out that for Vera, it wasn't that, it was the Sophons messing up her science and she lost hope in her purpose. It was the fact that she had discovered the emails between her mother and Evans.
Her dad, yeah.
Yeah. So, oof. Like, I feel like Win Jay's having to reckon with a lot of this, like, that one, the feeling in that one moment that when she sent that message has now echoed back and had this like horrible effect. And it's like she came, like the reason her dad was taken from her was this cultural revolution. And now here we are again, science is being wiped out by the Santi. And so it's like another cultural revolution in a sense because of her.
So now she's kind of the cause of the problem of the same kind of thing that took her dad away. Yeah. Do you think that she's kind of like losing her religion, I guess, after they kind of let her go and we see her like honoring her daughter in her home? Or do you think she's kind of given up on the Santi and that she's going to help them fight back, help the humans fight back?
I hope she's going to. I mean, she says that cryptic thing about, I have an idea or two left in me. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, because she's talking to like, the Santi.
Yeah. Wait, was she talking to them? Oh, yeah, she was. After her praying, that was just to them.
Yeah, because she was like, I know you can still hear me and you've forsaken me, or you found out we were liars or whatever. Oh, man. So she's still
maybe she thinks she can still, convince them to help save them. I don't know. Something. She's going to be up to something, so I'm excited for whatever that is.
I am interested to see what's going to happen with that, because I'm like, what is she possibly going to tell them? I mean, I guess she could tell them all the stuff that the government is planning, but apparently with the Sophons, they're able to like see and hear everything anyway. Which like I think Augie is talking to, or maybe it's Jen. Dang, sorry. I'm getting people mixed up. But somebody is talking to Thomas Wade, and they're talking about how they can try to use the particle accelerators to keep the Sophons busy. So that
I think Jen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jen.
Yeah, they talk about like building something on the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, what could
to keep one of them busy at least?
What could Win Jay possibly know that the Sophon hasn't already seen? So I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know. I'm definitely interested in finding it. And also, who is Thomas Wade going to send? He says he's sending a person in the probe. Who?
I feel like it's going to be Raj.
Oh my God.
Because they have that moment where he goes into Thomas Wade's office and he's like, I want to be on this project. I love the part when he's like, can you open the window? And Raj is like, well, I know this test is an impossible task or whatever. And then Thomas just opens the window. So this guy's such a goober. Yeah, Raj seems like somebody who's like seeking glory. So I feel like he would probably be the one to volunteer, but we'll see.
We'll see. What's going to happen
Saul?
next? I don't know. I really am waiting to see like how Saul fits into all of this. What's he going to do?
I don't know. How long did Will have to live?
He said he wasn't going to be here because remember when he wanted to order that whiskey and then they're like, it's not going to be here for another, I feel like it's less than 6 months or something.
Oh, okay. So it wouldn't be him because he ain't going to make it. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Man.
But also maybe he'll do something else. I know he just donated all that money and that was a contribution in a way, but we'll see.
I'm curious, like, is he really just going to die of cancer? Like, or are the Santi going to cure his cancer? Like, I'm curious what's going to happen with him. Like, because it just seems like unrelated to everything else that's happening. But I mean, I kind of like it because it you know, it's a real human experience, and like it really ties the friend group together of like all the stuff that's happening, and how their relationships are all like, you know, working with their interpersonal relationships and stuff.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like it feels a little small potatoes compared to the other stuff that's happening. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
But it's very real.
Mm-hmm.
I like that element in there because it's like even with this big chaotic stuff, like this is the very real horrible stuff that still happens, you know.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
We will see. Do you think we'll actually
only 2 episodes left?
Only 2. Well, 6 out of 8. Yeah, 2.
So I can't wait.
I can't wait.
Well, thank you all so much for joining us. We're at Take This TV on TikTok and Instagram. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to leave us a review. Send us a comment. Tell us what you thought. And remember, it's dangerous to watch TV alone.